Hey, Tony Gaskins here. Y'all got to forgive me real quick. I was just getting started. Then client wrote me. One second. But wanted to touch on this because this is something that I'm kind of noticing here and been getting a lot of discussion in this area, and something I really want to try to simplify and kind of help women understand. So this is for single women, women who are dating, and also married women. It's not just for married women, because this is important that we bridge the gap. And so, being that there are not a lot of men who are talking about this type of stuff, and it's a handful of men talking about this, but I believe different perspectives are important, and you kind of got to be able to hear the perspectives that resonate with you or that speak to the type of man that you are interested in being married to. It's certain men who they may be talking about what a man needs, what a man wants, but it's nowhere near the type of man that you will want to be with. And so you can't take everything to heart. Now, one of the things you have to realize when it comes to, what do husbands need, you have to understand that men and women, although there are some things that are alike, men and women, in fact, are different. And in some ways, very different. So that's the first thing is, as a woman, you can't expect a man to think like you, to be like you, to love like you, or to want to love like you. And you have to understand the difference between the male and the female psyche, and that's going to help you navigate some things. And this goes both ways, but this video is for women who trying to better understand men as it relates to relationships or marriage. Now, when you think about this, if we list it out like a grocery list, we as humans could sound very, very complicated. We could sound very complicated, and it would be confusing. So although I spell it out for the sake of the length of the video, it really boils down to some simple things that if you can put it all together, and you'll be able to kind of lump it right in up under just a couple of areas. Y'all got to forgive me. Like everybody in the world trying to get a coaching session. I'm like, my goodness, I'm just one person now. So I'm 2025, I might be retired from one-on-one coaching, and all my coaches gonna be here. On the YouTube. Bad listen. But I'm gonna listen to the Lord and see. And so this is what you have to understand. Men, we are simple. In comparison to a woman, we are simple. And I remember my wife and we were talking about the love languages by Dr. Gary Chapman. And in that conversation, I realized that my wife pretty much speaks all five love languages. Like, she need all five love languages. Whereas with me, at the most, I might need three. And that just depending on if it's a bad day. But sometimes really just one could do. And that is, I believe, the truth for a lot of men. Not every man, but for a lot of men. There are some men who are prima donnas, divas. Nothing you do will be good enough. There are men who are broken. So I'm getting all this out of the way so you understand. It's not a one size fits all. There are men who are broken. There are men who are trauma ridden. Those type of men, those would be on the outside of what I'm talking about. We're not talking about that. We're talking about men who are healthy and healing, who are realistic, who are givers, lovers, appreciative. We talking about good human beings, good-hearted human beings. We're not talking about red pill content creators. We're not talking about the students, the men who are students of red pill content. We're not talking about those people. So this what I want you to do. We're gonna lean on Dr. Gary Chapman. We're gonna lean on him because I believe that what God breathed through him in the 5 love languages, I believe is very powerful and very necessary, very needed. And I believe it was God breathed what Dr. Gary Chapman got. I can't even really, me being in the space and creating. One time I sat with the Lord and he gave me the 4 levels of love, but not the 5 love languages. And with the 4 levels of love being lust, like, love, and then self-love. And I broke it down, and I might put it into me a little small book one day, like Dr. Garrett Chapman did, the 4 levels of love. Hey, it's coming now. And so, but what he did is it is powerful. And I remember talking to a grown boy, and he was like, "Oh, it's 6 languages. It's 6 love languages." I said, "What's the 6th one?" "I ain't gonna tell you. It's 6 of them though." I said, "Nope." So no matter what I thought about as far as love, I couldn't get anything that you do in a relationship to fit outside of the 5 love languages. So that's very real. So the key here for every woman under the sound of my voice is to identify your man's love language. And you will be able to pick this up. See, a lot of times the mistake that women make is a lot of women expect men to have the words to articulate. Not every man knows how to express what he wants or express what he thinks, express what he feels, because not every man is given the room to articulate and express his feelings while he's being nurtured, while he's growing up. Some men were raised as a mute. Some men were told, shut up. I don't want to hear what you think. I don't want to hear what you got to say. Suck it up. Big boys don't cry. Don't back talk. Him expressing himself was considered back talking. And so he wasn't allowed to flesh out a thought to really express. He just had to deal with whatever was given to him, and he didn't get to express himself. He didn't get to plead his case. And the reason why you could see me come on here and talk for so long is because I wasn't raised like that. My dad would allow me to express my argument. And when I say argument, I don't mean arguing. I mean to express my thoughts, express my feelings. Well, this is how I feel about it. This is what I think. Well, what about this? And as long as I did it respectfully, as long as I didn't try to raise my voice or try to get out of hand or use no words, profane words or anything like that, as long as I did it respectfully, he would sit and go back and forth with me to help me understand what he was saying, why he's saying it. And that helped me. So even with my son, and now it come to a point to where the son could be playing devil's advocate and it could be annoying. And as a father, we have to say, okay, all right, enough of that. Shut up and listen. But for the most part, we want to let young men speak and express themselves and what they think. Me and my son today, I drove him to school today because he had to be there later, so he didn't ride with his mom. And we was talking about politics, and he was expressing, I do not like Donald Trump at all, in the least bit. But my son, he kind of in how he studies, and I'm giving you this example so you understand that how he explained this and how he articulates. He said, well, neither one of them are like ideal, but as far as the economy is concerned, Trump is going to be better for the economy and the things that he's going to put in place, and inflation is going to go down because Trump put so many tariffs on things that the way he has it set up is going to decrease inflation. He was like, but he's just a bad human being. He was like, if he wasn't racist, then he would be the greatest president to have ever lived if he wasn't racist. And then I was like, well, I don't actually think he racist. I think he just more so worried about his economic stability, and that he gonna run plays that's gonna set him and his family up for life when he out of office. And he just self-serving, and whoever it hurts, and whoever it helps. But we gonna benefit because he got to put stuff in place that's gonna benefit him. So by default, we gonna benefit. And then we talked about Kamala and her issues with the border, and how, and how she gonna let everybody have, two dangalangs, and changing your sex at 3 years old, and how she just a people pleaser. And then he talked about how many different voices she got depending on who she talking to, which we call that code switching. So here we going back and forth. We having this conversation. My son's 17. That's not normal, and it's not common. So I want you to understand that not every man is going to be able to tell you, okay, I read the 5 love languages, and my love language is this, this, and this. That's going to be, if a man can do that, he is unfortunately an exception to the rule. Yes, I wish it was more normal, but it's just not. So you gotta, as a woman, you gotta pay attention to your man, and you gotta pay attention to like his response, and you gotta pay attention to the subtle responses, because not every man knows how or feels comfortable showing emotion and expression. And it depends on how he was raised. So you always have to remember that a man's history and his biography. I heard a man say that. I don't know his name, can't remember, but he said a man's history and his biography equals the makeup of the man. And so you have to look within that, and you got to look at who raised him. Who was the maternal figure? Who was the paternal figure? What was it? Mom and dad? Was it mom and a boyfriend? Mom and a stepdad? Was it mom and his PE coach? Mom and his football, basketball coach? Mom and his chess club teacher? Like, who was the man that influenced him, or the men, and who were the women? And then what is their story? How much can you learn about them and their story, so you understand their belief system, their philosophies, and then how it affects him? And so now when you able to understand his history and his biography, now you're able to speak truth to power. Now you're able to point out the deficiency. You're able to speak to it. Like, you don't even have to point it out and say, hey, you void in this area, or you got a hole in your heart in this area, but you can speak to it, you can address it. So if he lights up, or he kind of happy when you cook, now that's acts of service. But if you go to cook and he's like, I'm not hungry, and you could cook. Now if you ain't been told you could cook, he might not be hungry because you terrible at cooking. So understand, now this ain't no one size fits all. Now nuances, caveats, and nuances to this. Okay, so when you take in, okay, ooh, woo. Right, just got my clothing line. We about to start my clothing line, caveats and nuances. You get out here, take it. I'm suing you. This my copyright right here. This my trademark. Start my clothing line, caveats and nuances. Woo, yes sir. Starting the clothing line. I'm doing the men's line. My wife doing the women's line. So listen to me now. So you maybe can't cook, and that's why he's not excited about your food. But and I'm gonna use a personal example so you can understand this, and then just look at history and biography so you understand the difference. So if my wife cooked and that food good, I'm eating it. Woo, baby. I need you to cook this tomorrow, girl. Hey, I need you to cook this every day. My goodness, girl, you about to have me buy you a house and a car. My goodness, girl, come over here, girl. I'm ready to lick on you. So that's how I act when my wife cook a good meal. So you have to look at your man and say, okay, yeah, he don't say all that now. He don't be doing all that now. But he might just be the type to where oh, you cook? Okay, yeah. And that's it. He might be, oh, thank you. I love when you cook. It might just be one little word. So you got to pick up on it. If you buy him a gift and he frown and he like, why did you get this? Gifts is not his love language. You could love gifts to the high heavens. Gift is not his love language. I remember, like, right now, I like physical touch. But when I met my wife, I was not too far removed from acne. I was not too far removed from puberty. And so she would touch my face, and I didn't want her to find imperfections in my face. I didn't want her to rub over a bump or, a bunch of oil, skin. So I'll be like, hey, I don't like people touching my face. And it was me also trying to be tough, trying to be cool. I didn't want to feel soft. I didn't want to feel sensitive. So I told her I don't really like people touching my face, but she was showing affection. And what I realized is the things that I grew to not like about my wife, the areas that I felt she was insufficient in was all my fault, because she actually used to be that person, and I said something that made her change. She adapted to what I said I thought I wanted. But I was speaking from insecurity, speaking from pain, speaking from fear. So this is why you have to read between the lines. You have to use inference. And this goes both ways. Your man will have to do this for you as well. So don't feel like it's unfair and like you just some perfect bill of health. No, you got your set of issues too. And so he got to read and learn and understand you in the same way you got to read and learn and understand him. So speak all of the love languages. Google them if you don't know what they are, but speak all of the love languages. Then, in speaking all of the love languages, you pay attention to what really turns him on. And I don't mean sexual, I mean like what really get him going. And what is like, how if you have like a special needs child or a child who can't really, they're not audible, but you do something or give them something that they really like, and they could show their excitement, they could show their happiness. And I remember working with developmentally disabled men, and we had a client, and he wasn't super expressive, but he was reactive. And whenever you about to do something that he likes, he would be like, he'll be standing there and he about to get it. And you like, I don't know, you about to give him a certain type of food or something. And he'll be like, and he would do that. He would do that. Y'all probably couldn't hear me. He would make that little noise. And he'll be slapping his hand like this, whatever his hand next to. And that was his excitement. And so you like, man, okay, he like this, boy. Hey, he happy about it, boy. And now on the flip side, if he got mad, it's fit to be some furniture moving. You hear me? He will go outside, get a 2x4, and he taking it to every staff car that's out there. Unless he like you. If he like you, he walking past your car. He ain't hit my wife's car because he like her. But he went up the Eric car, tore that window up, hit the hood. And so that's what you have to realize is you have to pay attention to your man, because, for example, and I use myself for example, just because to let you know this coming from also real life, not just, I ain't just pulling this out of thin air. But I don't really like gifts. And the reason why is because I am the provider. So I don't want money wasted on me if I don't really need something. When I need something, I will say, hey, baby, can you go to this store? Like this shirt is from a brand called Reese, Reiss. I said, can you go to Reese and do me a $500 haul, $1,000 haul? And then she'll go and she'll do a $500 haul. And now I got some shirts that I need. But outside of that, I don't want nothing. Don't bring me no gift. Cook me some food. And it could be sloppy joe and tater tots. But I just love home cooked food because it represents love. It represents, that's your time, that's your energy. It represents love. I don't come close. The closest I come to leaving my wife is if a woman cook for me. I ain't worried about what's between your legs and all of that. And so like the saying say, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. It ain't just that, it's not that we just greedy. It just that represents love. Because you had to stand the fire. You had to stand in that kitchen. You had to feel that heat in your face. You had to be on your feet. You had to think. You had to pull things together. And you created chemistry in that pot. You made love in that pot. You brought something together that then becomes nourishment. It's vitals. It's vitamins for the soul. And so it's what it represents, because the man can go out and go to the restaurant with a Michelin star chef. But so if that's his love language, that's the language you got to learn how to speak. Even if you got to do like the women on the TV shows and the movies where they go out to like Boston Market. Now, if the man that ate there, he done ate there. And I seen that lady talking about, ooh, cook this for my man. And it was Popeyes. Or no, maybe it was a birthday party. No, it was the thing. A lady did a video and she was like, see, I try to support people. And the girl in my complex, she's selling plates for $20. So, okay, here I am. I want to support. So, y'all, let me show you what I got. And she opened the styrofoam container, and it's Popeyes. You know Popeyes chicken. Everybody know what Popeyes chicken look like. Everybody know what Popeyes biscuit look like. Everybody know what Popeyes red beans and rice look like. The girl had them went and got the $8 to $10 2-piece or 3-piece combo from Popeyes, put it in the styrofoam, and was selling it for $20. I say, now that's ingenuitive now. That's it. You can't be mad at her. And the lady on the video, she said, I can't be mad at her. Like, she got me. She got me. She won't get me again, but she got me. So that right there is what I'm talking about. So if you know you got a man, he's spent his whole life barefoot on a dirt road, you could go to Bonefish Grill and get their steak or get their salmon if it's gonna cost less than buying all the groceries. So the other day I made me some homemade chicken noodle soup. So I'm buying the seasonings and I'm buying all the stuff and then grabbing a couple little things that I passed by that I like. When I checked out, it was $112. I'm like, I could have just went to Panera Bread and got their chicken noodle soup. Yeah, it wouldn't have had as much seasoning, but I could have got their chicken noodle soup if they got that, or whoever got a chicken noodle soup. For $6, $12, I just spent $112. And I'm finna make one meal. So you see what I'm saying? So you got to learn your man. And if you realize, okay, he ain't picky. This man just like to eat. He ain't even picky. So I'm finna slide my behind right on up here through the curbside pickup at Bonefish Grill. I'm finna get this bourbon salmon. Now, the issue comes with, do you lie? That's where the issue come in at, because you can't lie to the man. So, and if he say, listen, I don't want you spending the money, now you got to sit down and talk to him. Like, don't spend money. I don't want you going to spend money on this salmon and broccoli and all that when you can make it. And then, so now you got to go and show him. All right, listen. You had that salmon and broccoli, right? You liked it. Okay. Well, I could cook, but I'm not a chef. That salmon you have from Bonefish Grill, Bonefish, send me a check. It had a bourbon glaze on it. I don't know how to make a bourbon glaze. You tore that salmon out the frame. And them Brussels sprouts. Them Brussels sprouts had a balsamic glaze on it. I don't know how to make a balsamic glaze. That right there meal costed $20. Okay, let me show you the price of a bag of Brussels sprouts. Now let me show you the ingredients for the balsamic sesame glaze. Now here's the ingredients for the bourbon glaze. And here go the salmon, the price of the salmon. By the time I buy all the seasonings and the ingredients and the salmon and the Brussels sprouts, I done spent $40. And then every other time I'm gonna have to still, but I also, it took me 30 minutes to go to the grocery store. Took me 20, 30 minutes in the grocery store, 30 minutes to come back home. That's an hour and a half. Then took me an hour to cook. That's 2.5 hours that I could have been doing the laundry, doing the dishes, sweeping the floor, making the bed, doing homework with the kids. So you see what I mean? So sometimes you have to explain to the man. And see, as men, we practical. Now, remember, I'm talking about your average, everyday good man. Now, if you talking about a man, and that's why I get tired of some of y'all in the comments with your dissertation about your exception to the rule. We're not talking about exception to the rule. Well, Tony, I want to say that's not always true, because I have a man that you can go and hang the moon and then come back with the sun, and then you can have the Aphrodite's goddess cook butt naked for him and he still will complain. Okay, we're not talking about your raggedy exception to the rule man. We understand that it does not apply to every person. Save us the dissertation. You're not getting a doctorate for it. Thank you. Get the message. Because that be taking wind out my sails when I got to just be sitting here trying to get a topic for the next video, and I got to be reading somebody's journal about their exception to the rule. That's draining. Come on now, stick to the topic. So when you show this to a man, and see, the thing about it is, at the restaurant, you got recipes. So it's pretty much going to taste the same almost every time. And when it don't, guess what? They policy, you get to take it back and get your money back. They'll cook something else for you. Whereas when you as a woman cook, if you mess around and you heavy-handed or you light-handed, then you taking, that's it. Like, you don't want to cook it all over again. It's just, but your man got to eat. So now you done spent time, money, energy, and effort. The food didn't come out how you want it to come out, and now you still got to go order a pizza. And so when you explain this to your man, if that's not your strength, but y'all make money, you got enough money the way you can afford it, then okay. So take this example, and I want you to apply this to every love language. So understand, look at his response, but you gotta know him. And that's where spending time talking to him and all of that, you gotta know him, because there may be a situation to where you could say, you are so handsome. If he literally, you knowing him, if he literally like, listen, do not say that. Stop saying that. Like I told you, I do not like when you be saying that. Like, I don't even believe that, for one. I don't like that. Don't say that. Like, that's for women. Like, let me call you beautiful. Don't call me handsome. If he say that and you really feel some air in his chest and you like, okay, I ain't gonna say it no more. Now, if he really wanted it, that's on him, because he told you don't do it. But if you say, you are so handsome, he like, child, please, go on somewhere with that. Hey, go on somewhere with that. Stop that. Go on somewhere. And you tell he fighting back that smile. That's his love language. He like that. He need to hear that. And Y'all forgive my mama text me about her other car, her second car, because a tree fell on it in the storm. So it's getting fixed. So she, asking questions. So I got to tend to her and make sure she get what she need and don't get taken advantage of. And so I want you to think about this. And as you starting to pay attention, you're gonna find that most men gonna have like one love language that is really, really prominent, that he really speaks that love language, and then he may have like two additional. Yes, all five are great, but he may just have like 1 to 3. You got some men who are so simple that just acts of service. Like you cooking and cleaning, that like the way he got a clean sheets to lay on, he got a clean house, he could walk around barefoot because the floors are mopped and swept, and he got a full belly because you cooking, and that's all you need right there. That's an act of service. Also remember that sex is an act of service. Yes, it's also quality time, it's also physical touch. So sex is like three, it kind of is words of affirmation too, because in that same act you could be saying stuff to them, motivating them, and so that's words of affirmation, and it's also a gift. That's the present right there. That's the prize. So that right there, just having sex with your husband, that's all five love languages in one, right there. And so you got to be sensitive to that too, in the sense of like learning him and picking up on the cues, but also taking care of yourself, taking care of your mind, body, and spirit, so that even if it's at a random time, at a random notice, you ready to get it in, you ready to put in work, even when it seems like it's inconvenient, you ready to put in work. Now, your man who loves you and he's in love with you, he gonna pay attention to that. But even with that, he's still gonna be sometimes the way he just needed. Never deny your husband sex, because it's always temptation when he step outside that door. But what you got to realize is when he had that release, it's kind of like getting full. Although it's a release, it fills his spirit for you. But if he is not getting that release, he gonna be like a ravenous wolf on yellow couches, and he gonna be out here trying to. It's gonna make him lust more. It's gonna make him be more flirtatious. It's gonna make him shoot shots. It's gonna make him take more chances, because when a man not having that release and he wired to have that release, it's gonna be an issue. When it's your husband. Now, as a boyfriend or whatever, it's your boyfriend, he is gonna need the power of the Lord and all of that. But we talking about husbands. And so understand that. And once you realize, okay, this right here is his love language, your marriage is gonna be the happiest in the world if you just speak that love language. Just be consistent speaking the love language. That's it. And you got to be mindful and understand. So some women love to talk, love to talk. Well, you got to pay attention to the man, and does he want to talk? Like, is it a time that he feel like talking? Like, does he need some peace and quiet? Is he stressing? He's drained. Does he need you to be quiet and just massage his scalp, grease his scalp, massage his shoulder? Like, does he just need peace and quiet and physical touch? You got to be able to read them. And when you do that and you just speak the love language, and see, the thing about it is you don't have to speak all five at one time. It might be to where once you learn him and you've been around him, you'll know, okay, he going through this right here on the job, so he need this. He need words of affirmation and physical touch and quality time, what have you. Kind of can all be in one, so to speak, because while you touching him, you right there next to him. So that's quality time as well. So that's how some of this stuff kind of overlap, it coincide. So once you start to realize this and you just speak that, now this is a mistake that women make. The mistake that women make is women get to know themselves and you evaluate yourself and you know what you like, and then you try to love the man based on what you like instead of paying attention to him and his personality and his style. And so me and my wife, we went through that both ways. So me, I'm more like a chill person for the most part. Like when it comes to a birthday, I like something small, something intimate. Like I could do movies, do the dinner in the movies. I remember my 25th birthday, we went to the club. I don't like being in the club. I don't dance. We just do the rock away. And so I don't like being in the club. And so here we are, we in the club. What am I supposed to do? So I had to enjoy it, fake enjoy it, and put my little hands up, do a little two-step, and it's with my homeboys and stuff. She hadn't got my phone or something, and somehow she text all my homeboys, and then we all come out, and that was cool, but that's more her thing, and that's what young people used to do. I'm an old soul. Like, so later I told her, I'm like, you took me to the club, man. I don't go to no club. I get shot and killed in the club. I'm done with that. That's what you do when you celebrating as a street dude. Like, and I'm not Chris Brown. I'm not finna be breaking no leg out there on the dance floor, man. Book me a dinner and let's go to the movies. And now, but see, I have to realize for her, she liked to live. So her 30th birthday, I think it was, I spent over $10,000 on a birthday party. And it was a dope party. And my wife got on the dance floor at her birthday party. The party was hours long, 4, 5, 6 hours, however long it was. My wife was on the dance floor the entire time. It was her day. It was her party. She wasn't gonna let a second pass. I can't remember if she even sat down to eat. She might maybe sat down to eat at the beginning, but she was on the dance floor the entire time. And so guess what? That would be a nightmare for me. So you see how you could be in a relationship and be totally different, but you have to learn how to speak the language of your spouse. And when you do that, then you in a place to where, practice got canceled today. Oh, that's for my son. Oh, that's tomorrow, practice canceled. Okay, interesting. And so that's what you have to realize. And once you realize that, all I want you to do is just speak that love language. And you don't have to, beat a dead horse, kick a dead horse in the sense of, okay, his love language may be acts of service, but don't just make the same menu every week if one of those types forms of service is cooking. So don't just have hamburger every Monday and then taco every Tuesday and then whatever every Wednesday. Like, switch it up. Get different recipe books, try different recipes, talk to him, show him some recipes, see what he likes, see what he say. Oh yeah, try that right there. And then if he say, hey, I want to get in there with you, I want to learn, or I want to cook with you, or let me do this, let me do that. Let him do it. Let him do it. Let him open up. Let him be expressive. Let him share his thoughts, tips, opinions, because that means he's opening up and he's showing more love. And so when you understanding this man love language, your relationship, your marriage going to flourish. It's going to be a whole lot better when you loving him the way he needs to be loved and not just how you need to be loved. You giving him what he needs, not just what you need or what you want. And so when you do that, then you start to realize. Y'all gotta forgive me, mom text me. Oh my goodness.
And that's another thing y'all gotta understand about your man. It's like when you're a man, we gotta take care of all the women in our family. Like my niece text me, my mama text me, my sister be text me, and I got a wife, and I gotta take care of my mother-in-law. So here I am taking care of my mother-in-law, my wife, my mama, my sister, my two nieces, and then all my clients. That's women. And my clients writing me, Tony, can I get on the phone with you? Tony, I need to talk to you. Can I talk to you this week? Tony, can you bump my session up? Tony, can you like so that's another thing that you got to understand about your man is we are problem solvers and we put the world on our shoulders and we always got a lot going on and we always thinking about other people and how can we help, how can we provide, how can we protect. So it's a lot on our shoulders. So what your goal have to be is to relieve that. Like this here coffee I've been sipping on today, my wife made me, and then she put her little thing on there, Cherie sips. You see how I done told that coffee up? I really don't even like coffee like that. But she take care of me, and she'll come and she'll be like, "Hey, I was racing home to make you a coffee." Or I thought you was at the office. I was gonna make you a coffee and bring you a coffee. I'm like, oh no, I'm over here. I got a meeting over here. But just trying to do little things to just relieve some pressure. To just say, hey, here's this to say keep going. Here's to say I love you. And so you gotta think about that. And your life gonna get better. Your life is gonna get better. You're gonna be blessed if you married the right man because he's gonna reciprocate. He's gonna look for ways to please you. He's gonna look for ways to be a blessing to you because he knows and he can tell that you're looking for ways to be a blessing to him. And when this doesn't work out, when you're doing these things and you're trying these things, it's typically another woman. It's either another woman, childhood trauma, or a mental health issue. And that's when you have to learn how to speak truth to power. That's when you have to learn how to call things out and say, hey, you know, what's wrong with you? Because I'm doing this and I'm doing this. And typically I would expect this right here in response, but instead you're doing this and you're doing this. And that's not an action of gratitude. So I'm assuming something else is affecting you, and I want to talk to you about it and understand it so that I can help you in that. Because while you hurting or whatever, you bleeding on me, then that has me hurting, then that got me bleeding on the kids. And this snowball effect, this trickle down effect is just not healthy for our household. So we need to sit down and we need to look each other in the eye and we need to come to terms and figure some things out. So what are we gonna do? And that's when you got to be able to speak truth to power. But what gives you that space to be able to speak the truth to power is because you have taken and done what needs to be done. So you've taken in, you've looked and you've said, okay, I've been serving here or doing this or doing that. So the man, it opens him up. It gets him to drop his guards and he starts to feel love and he starts to express love and he wants to help and he wants to do these things because like he want to open up. He want to express because you've shown that love. A computer dying. So think about this and get this in your spirit now. Get this in your spirit. And understand that yeah, this is it's we got 95% women on here. So I know some of y'all, Tony, can you do one of these for the husband and how he's not on here. So just get what you need to get and then you express to him what he needs, what he could do. Or send him to me and I'll talk to him. And we'll talk about it as men. But when the Lord give me the capacity, I'm praying this in 2025. I'm gonna start a better husbands group. It's gonna be a free call. A better husbands group where we're gonna have a call at least minimum once a month. Better husbands. And I'm gonna teach it. I don't trust nobody else philosophy and they healing and all of that because everybody be in different places. I'm gonna teach it. And and I'll share it with y'all so y'all can share it with your husband. And no, it's not for women. It is for men. But hey, this Tony Gaskins. God bless you. Keep your head up. Now, some of y'all be sending me topics, but it just be too specific. So it's like, these topics got to be general. And yes, they're going to end up being repetitive because it's different people watching them at different times. So got to touch on sometimes the same thing. And then when I touch on the same thing, a lot of times there's one or two more new little wrinkles in there that happened that maybe I forgot to say last time because, I'm not using bullet points or note cards. But God bless you. And we'll talk soon. Got to coach a client here in 10 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and relax for a little second. See you tomorrow.